Starting
we're back.
now?
So we're back and talking to Danielle again. And what do we want to talk about today? I think today we wanted to cover a couple topics. I think we want to kind of get warmed up by, you had this idea of what are the top 5 things or the top whatever number of things that people ask you when they're new to crypto, and like, how does it work? Your friends or your relatives, like Thanksgiving's coming up. This is going to be a hot topic at the Thanksgiving table for everybody, right? Like, so this is what, so I guess this can be like a lesson for, if you're careful with your camera there. I think your camera's hung over from the party.
Can we start over?
Or we should just leave it.
All right. Sorry, go ahead. So Thanksgiving topics.
So
about crypto.
So yeah, what are we going to talk about this Thanksgiving with the family? We're going to talk about crypto. It's guaranteed. Everyone's talk about it. So what do you think, like, crazy Uncle Joe is going to say about crypto? What's the first thing he's going to blurt out at the table? Or what is he going to claim?
It's a Ponzi scheme. Get out while you can. Get your money and hit the road.
Okay, so
he's going to think it's a pyramid scheme. That's the number one thing that people always say to me. And it makes me laugh. Sorry.
Somebody said that each I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was a crypto person or another financial person or where I heard this, but it kind of makes sense that each next generation rejects the previous generation's Ponzi scheme and comes up with their own. So
yeah, it's like I have my horse and carriage. It's 1898. And I see a fast zooming car coming. No, that's not going to work. People hit each other on the road.
Is crypto a Ponzi scheme? And if not, why not?
Crypto is not a Ponzi scheme because it's like saying the internet was a Ponzi scheme. Crypto is the next technological revolution of our generation, Aaron.
But the internet kind of was a Ponzi scheme. I feel like Jeff Bezos kind of won, right? He won the internet. Right?
He won the internet.
He won the Ponzi scheme.
But he hasn't won the rocket race yet. That's a whole separate podcast.
No, that's open for grabs, right?
But
he's a contender. Yeah, so if you want to compare crypto to, we're kind of jumping around topics here, if you want to compare crypto to what happened in the internet in like the year 2000 with Web 2.0 explosion, then we can kind of see the companies that came and went. But at some point, some of those internet properties became very valuable stocks on the stock market. So would you say that the stock Amazon is a Ponzi scheme? Would you say that the stock Google or Alphabet is a Ponzi scheme? Probably not, right? So all these coins are being developed now, right?
Right. And the ones with a really good end use case that will affect consumers.
Right.
Are the ones that will become the Googles, the Facebooks, the
not Ponzi
Amazon
schemes. Now, here's something that's interesting about this, and in this whole bigger debate of whether or not crypto is a Ponzi scheme, is that a lot of these projects, though they claim to be decentralized, when they do their initial drops and their initial allocations, a big portion of the pie goes to these venture capitalists, right? So a perfect example, I believe, is Solana, where the venture capitalists own so much of it. So a lot of people are saying, oh, Solana's a great project. It has all this technology. It runs better than Ethereum and all this stuff. However, people are like, no, Solana is a bunch of venture capitalists who are going to do a rug pull on everybody. But I think you did some more research into that. And I think the pool of Solana is so large already that even if they did pull out, it's not going to it's not going to flip the project. So do you want to use that as an example? Like, is Solana a Ponzi scheme?
No, and the reason I believe that there's a lot of fear around Solana, but the reason I don't believe it'll be a rug pull is because it's solving an actual problem and becoming a very fierce competitor with Ethereum. So if you take David and Goliath, somebody's got to win, right? Solana, as it was funded, those initial investors had a certain time period where they were not allowed to sell their shares. Right. Otherwise, it would disrupt the entire market cap. We have now passed that point, and there's enough retail investors like you and I that have come into the space to support Solana without toppling the entire project if they were to take out their initial, I don't know, so let's just say $200 million investment. And then it's now gaining enough momentum and growing on its own that it's not dependent solely upon those initial investors.
And now there are a lot of rug pulls that are out there. So you do have to, if you're getting involved in small gaming projects, for example, there are situations where people come out there and this is what, when you're doing gaming research, for example, when you want, this bigger question, is crypto a Ponzi scheme? I think within crypto, there are Ponzi schemes. Now, one of the big red flags, going back into my topic, gaming, which I like to talk about a lot, if you're researching a project and you're like, should I buy this coin? Who are these people? That's a good question. Go to their website. Are there pictures of their actual faces with real links to their LinkedIn profiles? Are they doxed? Do you know who these people are? Or are they some anonymous team whose name is like, you know, Dev and John and Joe, and that's it? There's no last names, there's no pictures, there's no LinkedIn profiles.
Yeah, so, and Squid Game would be a perfect example of a classic rug pull that happened 2 weeks ago. Do you want to talk about Squid Game coin?
You can talk about it. I'm not as familiar with it. My friends were telling me about it. I can't follow everything.
So they just completely disappeared off the face of the earth and took money. So to your point, Aaron, when I'm going in to research a project that I want to invest in, personally, when I was researching AAVE, it used to be called Lend, L-E-N-D, and now I call it AAVE. It might be AAVE, A-A-V-E.
I think it's AAVE. Yeah, I think
AAVE,
that's proper
right?
pronunciation. Yeah.
I went through onto every single LinkedIn profile. I requested them as a contact, and then I actually asked a question of one of the people that was working, one of the developers. I think it's one of the most brilliant projects that's going to have it's not exciting in the way that it doesn't grow at 400% a month like some of these other projects. However, I believe it's a very solid long-term crypto decision to get in. It's just so solid. They're going to replace lending and borrowing in banking. And they already are actively doing this as we speak. So if you're looking for a project that's not a rug pull, you want to read their white paper. If their white paper is a complete joke and just put up there to be able to click through and read a white paper. So for those of you who are not familiar with what a white paper is, it's basically a document outlining exactly what the problem is they're solving. So every single one of these coins it's a project, right?
Yep.
And it's solving a problem. So if you read through and something isn't right, like Squid Game coin, and they're not solving any real life problem, I tend to stay away from those personally, because I think those feel super high risk. But something like AAVE is like, I don't know.
So
it's going to change the way consumers.
So let's look at the classic
borrow and lend.
Meme coins. Like Dogecoin was invented as a joke. What's their white paper? They don't really have one, do they? I mean, I don't know because I didn't buy any, and so I didn't look into it. But
it's a meme coin. They don't even pretend to be something they're not.
Right.
Whereas Shiba is a little different because there actually is an end use case, and now AMC is going to start accepting Shiba next year as payment. So
their CEO said in an interview they were going to start accepting a bunch of them. He had a list of them. There's like at least 3 or 4 in there. I think he said Ethereum, but I don't even know if he knows what he's talking about, because how can you accept Ethereum? Imagine buying a $10 movie ticket and paying $100 in fees.
Right. Or you know what? That's like Subway accepts Bitcoin. Would you ever go in and pay for a sandwich with a gold bar? Probably not. So if you think about,
they're doing that. Is it in Honduras? There's one, I don't know the name of the country. There's a Central American country that has like integrated Bitcoin into its entire economic system, right? Am I wrong on that? Somebody correct me in the comments. I don't know.
No, you are. And you know what's interesting? We're talking about things that newbies ask, right? So number 2, what's the question I get a lot? Well, what can I use Bitcoin to pay for? Can I use it? Can I pay you for a goods or service with Bitcoin? Truthfully, you wouldn't want to pay somebody in Bitcoin right now.
Because you couldn't figure out how much it would cost. It'd be like, that'll cost you 0.00000001234 Bitcoin, sir.
No, Satoshis.
Yeah, exactly.
They're Satoshis.
And that's what while you said that, I wanted to get So the Satoshi is the 1/18th decimal point or something like that of Bitcoin, right? So this talks about the going back to the original question, is it a Ponzi scheme? And so Bitcoin was the first truly like decentralized crypto platform, because this person or this group, this Satoshi Nakamoto people or person, did the coding for it and then just like left it to the developers, right? To be mined, to the miners to mine on the chain and to be discovered through each block or whatever. And so it's interesting because Bitcoin is one of the ones that I believe is truly decentralized. And there are still some old school Bitcoiners who are just like, no, Bitcoin is the only true cryptocurrency, because they're old fashioned and they're maximalists or whatever they call them. And so to say that if one isn't a Ponzi scheme, I would say Bitcoin is definitely not a Ponzi scheme, although it doesn't have much of a use case other than stored value, right? And we've talked about this before, but it's definitely not. No one's going to rug pull Bitcoin. It's like, I mean, even if Satoshi did, I don't know how many he has, but I think he or them, they, like, because nobody knows who this person is, right? Like, there's been several claims, like some guy in California had that name and they tried to identify him, and then some other people say it's this other programmer dude, and so I forget. I'm not good with remembering names on the fly, but point being, Bitcoin is truly decentralized, and it could, at this point, I don't think it could ever be a Ponzi scheme. It's too widespread.
It's the foundation. It's like saying that somebody could take away the entire internet tomorrow. Well, what would happen? I once read that it would take 100 million years of computing power in order to disrupt Bitcoin at the point of where we are today. So to hack it,
right,
if you would. So to hack the entire system would be a worldwide feat.
You can't hack it because it's on all these different, it's all recorded on the blockchain and it's in all these different locations, hence the decentralization, right?
It's in millions of locations.
I just wanted to point that one thing out about Bitcoin. We said Satoshis, and that we were going back to the original question, and then you were moving into the second question, and I totally disrupted your flow by bringing that up. But we were talking about, is it a Ponzi scheme? And then you went into, I forgot. I'm sorry. What was it?
We were talking about how you utilize Bitcoin as a payment device. So you're
right, and then AMC was going to do a bunch of coins, but yeah, okay. So there we were. Okay, right, and then so like, how do you utilize Bitcoin? I have to pay my
utility bill, so I'm going to use gold bars to pay my utility bill.
Right.
No, you're probably likely not going to use gold bars to pay any bill. So if you view Bitcoin as being digital gold, which it has become an asset that is now on par to disrupt the market cap of gold.
It's crazy.
It's completely crazy, but if you look at it in the way that many people call Bitcoin the Web 3.0. So 1.0 would be Microsoft, correct? So the foundation of the internet. 2.0 would be all the layers, social, search.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess what 1.0 is kind of like window shopping. 2.0 is kind of like renting.
Right. So 2.0 is like, when I say commerce, I don't mean finance. I mean buying a sweater, Gap.com, which wasn't an available choice for us 20 years ago. Now we're moving into 3.0. So banking is a very traditional field. And I have some familiarity with Wall Street in my background personally. Not me. I did not work in it, but I have close connections with that world. So banking is now catching up, and that's why people are saying it's 3.0. That is all completely to credit. It's credited to the invention of blockchain, of Bitcoin, if you will. And I know people separate them and they say, well, no, they're two separate things. My thought is it's all 3.0. Because you're building a house, right? So what are the first things you need for a house? You need to pour the foundation. Bitcoin poured the concrete to become what blockchain is today.
Yeah, well, the blockchain, I think, is what people are saying is Web 3.0. And Web 3.0 is ownership or supposed ownership of the assets versus Web 2.0 was rental. Like you're renting your space from Mark Zuckerberg. Your Facebook account, you don't own any of that. He can just boot you out because he didn't like what you said, right? Because you know, or Twitter, you can just be shut down because you don't own anything on there. You're just renting a space from Twitter. This is there was a bit of it. You have your website, and that's what you actually truly own. But the people who kind of built up Web 2.0 built the biggest websites, and everybody came to them and became users. But Bitcoin, was the initial foundation, I think, of Web 3. I would probably agree with that.
It's the foundation. And then the walls are everything around it that's supporting the ability to have exchanges with people and to exchange that commerce. Because Bitcoin in and of itself, you can have a cashless peer-to-peer transaction, but everything being built now is completing the house. And let's just say Shiva is the dog in the house, but the whole house was built on the foundation of Bitcoin. So the walls, maybe the roof is Ethereum. We don't know actually.
Because that gets into the whole topic of the metaverse and what is the metaverse and how's it going to work, and we don't know yet. But I wanted to go back to another point that you brought up too, which is Bitcoin being at the market cap or surpassing of gold or whatever, right? Because Bitcoin, in the sense, I think one of the reasons, my understanding is one of the reasons that gold kept up its value over the years in relation to other precious metals, for example, silver, is because I think they can mine or produce less gold every year. Like the supply of gold goes up at a lower rate than the supply of silver. So I think it holds its value. I think that's how it works. I'm not 100% sure, but point being is in a way, gold is kind of like a limited supply. Like Bitcoin, there's only ever going to be a limited number of Bitcoin. So in that sense, it's like, I guess they call it deflationary, right? So
the scarcity of Bitcoin
you can't
increases.
Just keep adding Bitcoins into the mix. Now, a lot of cryptocurrencies, they do have things called, they do burns, where they send it to dead addresses, and that increases the value because it decreases the liquidity. Other coins have where they add coins into the pool. At a certain time, there's new minting. But I think Bitcoin is, I believe, once they're all mined, and that's it. I'm not sure about that. They're
going to be completed mined. They're going to release very few after 2120, I believe. So every halving, a Bitcoin halving, happens every 4 years, and that decreases. That makes if an asset is scarce, it's more valuable.
Yep. Exactly.
That's what's going to happen is with every halving, it makes Bitcoin more valuable, more scarce. That's why a lot of people are saying that we're eventually going to have $1 million Bitcoin, which is also a hotly debated topic. But at the Thanksgiving table, when you're talking to your old Uncle Ed and he's telling you, no, I have gold. Gold is the standard. And I can say, well, it doesn't mean just because we have had gold as a society since the time we were, we're going back to ancient Egyptian times. Just because a new technology comes in doesn't mean it's any less valuable than gold. It doesn't mean it's going to replace it entirely. But the Tesla is now a standard car that uses no fuel. And if you put that next to a horse and carriage, eventually gold may be replaced by digital gold, which is what Bitcoin is, because it's a store of value in your pocket. You don't have to lug around giant bars of gold.
I think gold actually does legit conduct electricity, and very, very well. If you ever have any high quality earphones, they're gold tipped. Gold conducts electricity.
I thought that was copper. Isn't that copper that you're talking about, or is it gold also? Gold and copper?
I think both of them. I think gold's just the more expensive version.
Yeah, but you're not using the thing is the argument you're going to get at Thanksgiving is that
in my brilliance of crypto tech geniusness, I forgot to plug my laptop in, and it just powered down and shut right off in the middle of our conversation because the battery just ran right out. I had no idea it was coming. It said your battery is running low, and then the screen shut off and you were gone. So the thing that people are going to be saying at the Thanksgiving dinner is, do you remember? Number
one is that people think it's a Ponzi scheme. That I tend to get that comment a lot from anybody in the 50-ish and up range.
Right.
Because anybody young enough to really be immersed into technology from a very young age, as in using Chromebooks in their classroom, will know that that's absolutely not true. It's interesting. My son's friends that are 18, 19 completely understand this space because they're teenagers and they're just super tech savvy and they get it. Another thing you're going to get is that you cannot use Bitcoin to purchase anything, or people don't understand the real life use cases for Bitcoin. So I think that there's a disconnect with how they, like the relationship you'll have with it. You can't just pull Bitcoin out of your wallet. When in fact, you can use Bitcoin the same way you use Apple Pay. You just link your QR code. Last time I was in Asia for work in 2015, people were using Bitcoin on their phone to purchase everything. I remember being at the Jade Market in Hong Kong, and I saw somebody pick up their phone and it said BTC and they had the little orange symbol and BTC. And I asked them, I said, are you, what is that? Because I knew of Bitcoin, but I'd never seen anybody use it. And they're more advanced in the way they're using it as a payment system in Asia at that point in time. She was using it to buy a bracelet right there. And she was connecting with the vendor.
Yep.
So in the United States, I feel like we're not quite using it in the same way.
Yeah, we're behind.
And now it was less valuable then. Now I don't think you're going to see it as often. Why would you use Bitcoin to pay for something unless you've amassed like $1 billion in there and you just want to use it to live off of? Why would you open up your wallet and sell it right now? You're basically selling it when you're using it as a commerce, right?
Yeah, and it's going to appreciate in value.
Right. So it's considered to be selling an asset when you're using it.
So old grandpa Bitcoin, we've been talking a lot about that for this first sort of series of questions. What else comes to your mind as what can somebody else? So you're new to crypto. Okay, one, is it a Ponzi scheme? No. Can you use it for anything? Yes. What else comes to mind is questions that might be discussed at the Thanksgiving dinner table for people who aren't in crypto yet or people who are just getting into crypto?
They say, well, it's used by drug dealers. I've gotten that comment before. Look at the Silk Road. That's all Bitcoin's fault. And I'm like, well, that is up for debate, because if you look at the beginning of the internet and how it was used for all sorts, like dark web, how is that used to carry out illicit transactions? The way that somebody utilizes something isn't necessarily the fault of the thing itself. It's like, okay, I have a mug here. Is this going to become a dangerous weapon?
Right. I was going to say you could use a hammer to build a house, or like hit somebody over the head and kill them. So.
Right, and you're always going to have somebody misusing it or using it in a way to conduct crimes behind the scenes, because in the beginning it was a perfect way to not have traceable transactions. I can go and use cash and that's not traceable either, though. Mm-hmm. So the argument for that is completely, it's a complete misunderstanding.
It always confused me though, because everything on the blockchain is traceable though. You can go to etherscan.io or bscan.io and you can see every transaction, but the question is whose wallet is that?
Right, so they're anonymous transactions. And cash is an anonymous transaction. Mm-hmm. If I go to CVS and I buy something for $10, they have no way to track me.
Right.
So I think that argument is kind of, honestly, it's flipping ridiculous.
I think the person who has the $5 billion worth of Shiba in their wallet, the person who spent $8,000 on Shiba last year and then now went up to $5 billion, I think that's an anonymous wallet. Like, who is that? Like, have they figured it out since then? I mean, back then, maybe they know who that person is now. I don't know because I haven't followed the story, but I'm saying, like,
it's me. That's why I have a happy retirement balloon.
$5 billion in Shiba, and you can only go to the dollar store for those cheap balloons.
Those are not my balloons. Those are so those are Greg's. He retired from the police force after 32 years.
Congratulations! Nice.
Those are not my balloons.
Shout out to Greg.
That would be cool. Yeah, thank you. It's a big accomplishment.
Nice.
But the point of these conversations and Thanksgiving is sometimes people are not ready to talk. If they're not ready to talk about technology that would disrupt their life.
It is important well, it's like the new religion, right? You're either not or you are. Like now it's like you're either Bitcoin, or you're either crypto atheist or you're a crypto evangelist. You know,
you're just a crypto atheist
or crypto evangelist. But so the thing is, it is good to point out risks and scams because there are a lot of scams out there in the cryptocurrency world, especially in new projects and especially in gaming projects and especially in NFT projects. Because even if the dev team themselves are above board, there can be people that come in, and because this thing is so fast running and there's so much FOMO and there's so much aping and people jumping into projects, what can happen is you can have like a Discord conversation and a fake user can come into the Discord, name themselves, Phantom Galaxies support desk. And they can send you a message saying, hey, we're the support desk for Phantom Galaxies. Guess what? Our NFT drop is out today. Go to this website and connect your wallet here. And then a whole bunch of people on the Phantom Galaxies Discord go to this website that says phantomgalaxies.xyz instead of phantomgalaxies.io, I think, or .com was the original. And they connect their wallet, and their wallet gets emptied in 1/3 of a second. Now, this happened to Phantom Galaxies, literally that game, 2 days ago, and they had a huge purge. Their entire Discord was locked because hundreds, if not thousands of their users got their entire MetaMask Ethereum wallets emptied in 5 seconds by scammers who call themselves Phantom Galaxies. So there are scammers out there. There are definitely scams going on right now, and especially in this new Wild West kind of era of the cryptoverse, especially in the gaming metaverses, there's going to be a lot of people. So you have to always look at where your links are coming from. If you're going deep into the crypto world and you're like, I'm going to buy this strange coin or go to this strange gaming project, always make sure your MetaMask is locked. Never connect it to a website you don't totally trust. Always go from that project's official Twitter or from their official link to their website, to the place you connect their wallet, because somebody can take a website and completely copy the entire visual of the website and just change the domain name to .io or .com or .whatever the main developer doesn't have. And it's so easy. Like, I was on a Twitter once and there was an offering for a coin. I can't remember which one it was. And I wrote on there, I'm like, it's not coming up in my Pancake Swap. Like, I replied to their official Twitter. I said, I typed in the token ID and the token address, and it's not populating in my Pancake Swap. And somebody who had written such and such the name of the company, help desk, said, send me a DM, I'll explain. Or it's like, direct message us for support. So I literally went and I direct messaged that guy, and then I looked at his username, and 3 seconds later, I'm like, I just sent a DM to a scammer. And it happens that fast. And now he messaged me back.
Wait, hold on. They took your money?
No, it was a phishing for him to try to get info from me. Probably like, go to this link, but I didn't. Because then once I sent him the message, I realized, that's not the help desk, the official help desk from that group. That's just somebody calling himself so-and-so help desk. So
there
are scams. So for the uncle at the Thanksgiving table, here's what I say.
Yeah.
Cryptocurrency can be used for scams, and it's easy to get away with because there's no regulation and because things move so fast. If you don't have your whatever goggles on, like if you don't have your head screwed on totally straight, you can get scammed really fast. Especially
you can get scammed if you don't use your common sense.
That was a setup. I just said the word goggles because I knew she wanted to put those on. That was a prop that's been waiting from the beginning of the episode. But no, there are scammers out there, and you have to be careful. And they're out there in force.
But Aaron, I'm sorry, but some of that is just common sense 101. Like, if you and I understand how it's a different slick interface,
but it's fast. It's common sense 101. But a lot of people who are savvy are getting scammed because it happens so fast and it's so close to the actual authentic.
Okay, and I'm going to just play devil's advocate here for a moment. You could have. I go through cyber training at my job, so just to make sure I just went through a mandatory session. It took about 2 hours to complete this class online, and I have to pass a quiz at the end of it. And one of the first things they teach you is that the switch up on the name. So at the end of something, it could say like Harvard instead of edu, it would be org, or Harvard.in, like info, or something. They change up at the end.
And I'm a nerd, so those things like set me off right away. I'm like, that's not the official .org or whatever.
But that's good because I think the same common sense you would apply in your everyday emailing from scammers from all over the place asking for $1 million is the same exact logic you would apply to crypto. I think it's the same thing, really. You're just trying, This is why I don't go as into the web for crypto as you do, because I'm very careful and I only go on one trusted exchange.
Yeah. So I was going to say now, if you're in a group at the Thanksgiving table and somebody makes this point, you can say yes, but that only happens in the Wild West part of crypto right now. If you're on Coinbase, that's not gonna. I don't see how that could ever happen to you if you're buying coins on Coinbase. You're just buying them. So, and those are all established projects. But in that sense,
right.
scammers are out there, but they're out in the darker places of the web where things are moving very quickly.
I think they're able to hide easier in the dark. You want to talk about metaverse space? I think scammers are more likely to hide in places where people are less likely to be regulated in the first place.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, like an exchange like Coinbase has more security. They have a giant team of people. It's just a different situation.
So what else?
Like you're exposing yourself to more risk to be out there.
Yep, but you got to be on your feet. You got to.
Which listen, there's and to that end, there is more upside to the kind of things that you are into. Like say that you're buying Sandbox on an exchange, doing it completely different than how I can buy, say, Decentralized, talk about gaming, on Coinbase. My upside might take longer to get there. It's still, hey, APR is still good. I'm not complaining. If somebody's new in this and they finally just get into it right now, one of the most amazing things, the returns are, the returns are intense, but then the dips are intense.
Yep.
But at the same time, you're assuming more risk by not being on an exchange. So I prefer to stay on the safe side.
You mean not being on a centralized exchange? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So DEX.
Yeah,
so just to get this clear, so there's a DEX and I think it's a SEX. I don't know. CEX and DEX. The pronunciation's odd. Dexter, I don't know what the proper pronunciation is, but like you have decentralized exchange, which would be PancakeSwap, Uniswap, those other swapping sites, and a centralized exchange would be Coinbase, KuCoin, those Mexi, those centralized exchanges, whether they be in.
But they all ask for your the KY,
KYC,
know your customer, KYC. So when they get your email address, so I receive scammer emails. Once they get your email address, I don't know, everybody's email address gets sold somewhere, right? Whether you like it or not. I have gotten scammer things where they try to get me to click on links. So your Uncle Ed sitting at Thanksgiving says, "Oh, it's a pyramid. It's so scary. There's so many scammers." I mean, this is exactly what I feel like I'm exactly talking about the internet with like Katie Couric on Good Morning America in 1993 when we talk about these topics, because it's exactly the unknown. It's a frontier. And only the very, very bravest have been out there at the very beginning.
So what?
And it is a gold rush. It's a literal gold rush, right? Everyone's trying to get in and make money right now. But at the end of the day, I have a personal renegade story. And I tell my family, I went in to ask for a bank loan when I was 21 years old to help with a guarantor payment down. If you've ever rented an apartment in New York City in the 90s, you'll understand this, which I think you do. I think you remember this. The bank, it was like Citibank. It made me fill out like 25 pages of paper, basically put up like my, guarantee my firstborn child who wasn't even born yet that I would give him if anything were to happen as collateral. And the end of it, I didn't even get the loan. So the point being, right now, you can borrow or lend your crypto out online. And it's to me, I think that's just amazing. There's so much more freedom in what's going on with crypto, with this decentralized finance than fintech is just so disruptive. I love it. I love it. It's like Uber to taxis in New York City 10 years ago. When Uber came in, and I'm sorry to say, but Ubers are cleaner, they're cheaper, they're more efficient, they're on time. The people that drive them are held accountable by a customer star rating. This did not exist. You would get into a New York City cab. It's filthy. The driver is killing people going down the road 100 miles an hour. You get out, you feel like you just got out off the roller coaster. Come on. It was such a good disruption to me. I would rather take an Uber 10 times any day 10 times over any
You get on a cab in New York City in like 1999, like, oh, the meter's broken. Like how much?
That's, you want to talk about scams?
How much to get there? Oh, $20, but it's down the block. Meter's broken. It's $20.
Yeah, so I'm at Thanksgiving explaining to, dear old Uncle Ed and Aunt Ellen that this is a good disruptive technology, because at the end of the day, it's a libertarian sort of a thing, because you're getting into crypto. There's a little bit of a rebellious thing to the people that got in early. I think there is. Not saying I'm a rebel. I'm just saying the people that really get it understand. No, not rebel. No, not talk about an insurgency on the bank. I'm talking about take your assets and put them someplace where they'll actually do something for you, where you're not just giving it to a bank and you have no idea what's going on with your money.
I feel like you've been alluding towards talking about staking for about 5 minutes now. This is what you want to talk about.
Oh no, well actually yes, the staking we can get into also, but that brings me to just really quick before we go to staking. Number 4, what is dear Aunt Ellen and Uncle Ed, what do they ask you? They ask you, well, how do I know my money is safe in crypto? I have gotten that question before from family. How do I know it's safe? Because like you just said, your wallet could go like that, but on an exchange that's not as heavily regulated. So to that, I would say definitely for somebody that's a new person getting in, I would go with like a tried and true exchange.
For the short term, I would counter that. I would counter that and say, because now we rely on banks, we like the security of a customer service team, of a bank who keeps our money safe and all that stuff. But the real true world of decentralized blockchain is eventually going away from that, and you will be your own bank and you'll hold your own wallet, your own keys. And that is sort of the promise of crypto, is that we don't need your bank anymore. And so ultimately your money is the safest in your own wallet if you know how to take care of it. And then beyond that, a Trezor or hardware wallet, when you lock it all off your MetaMask wallet, completely offline into a piece of hardware. I don't have one of those, but that is where things are going. That is where things are going, because ultimately, like when you buy crypto on Robinhood, there's apparently this huge wallet address somewhere out in the ether sphere with all this crypto on it. And when you buy your crypto on Robinhood, you're just buying into that wallet and they're just holding it. It's not your crypto. And this, the whole thing with Web3 is that it is true ownership, especially of your coins. You have the keys to your wallet. They give you that 10 or 12 word passphrase, like, monkey, uncle, salad, basement, dog. And it's like you those secret words, you basically are supposed to memorize them. And once those words are locked away, no one can ever take your money per se, because no one can ever access
I have a solution for that. So for those of you guys who don't know, when you have a cold storage wallet, so you can have, like, say that I'm just going to use this as a very rudimentary example. My coworker put $200 in Coinbase last year. She put $100 in Bitcoin and $100 in Ethereum. Now, she decided to move it into what's called a cold storage wallet. Now, what that means is Coinbase offers the option to have a wallet connected with Coinbase. It costs a little bit of money actually to move there's an exchange fee to move it into your wallet. Once it's in your wallet, even if the exchange is disrupted tomorrow and blows up and goes away forever, which is highly unlikely, but if it were to do that,
that's my point.
Your cold storage wallet is your safe haven. So when you sign up for a cold storage wallet, they give you an algorithm of like 20 or 30 words. I think it's 20 words in succession. So you have to, in order to get into your own wallet, if you were to close the whole thing down, you have to get back into it. Mine is just an app on my phone because I use it. I've moved away from regular banks almost entirely, actually, at this point, which is a radical shift. But I've moved away from dealing with banks, bankers, banking lines, any of that. I still need to have something. So I just have like a regular digital Cap One 360 because it's very mobile friendly. But the cold storage wallet. So you take I wrote all my words down, and they're in order from 1 to 20.
Yep.
I put that into a yes. Where do you put stuff that you want to?
A safe. No. That's what you're supposed to do. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do.
I know. Actually, I did go back to. You're supposed to put it where?
In a safe or a safe deposit box at the bank. Ironically.
Ironically. So you put it back into a safe deposit box. So there are some uses still left for banking. Banking's still important. However, to have complete autonomy over your own wallet has been the reason why I, as a consumer, I really, really love crypto. It's given me a lot more freedom.
You own your coins. And if they're in your own wallet, when you take them off the exchange, you put them in your own wallet. They're your own responsibility. So to close up real quick here, have we kind of covered the major objections that you might get from your in-laws and relatives at the Thanksgiving dinner table as to why you're doing that dirty, nasty, back alley thing called crypto that you shouldn't be dabbling in? You shouldn't be, scamming other people and being a degenerate?
You're not scamming anybody. That's the funny thing. Yeah, the other thing you get is I can't handle the volatility. That's something my dad actually said. He's like, I couldn't stomach the volatility of crypto. It's too up and down for me. And plus, given his age, so if you're in your 70s, you're not going to assume the same risk as somebody in their 20s, 30s, 40s, or even 50s. You're just not, because you're in a different place in your life. And I completely respect that and understand it. The volatility part is what usually throws most people off. They're not willing to go in and see their $5 turn to $1 just to turn back to 10 a year later. And that is a real scenario.
Yeah, and I think we can let that one lie, because that is what it is. And I think over time, as more people enter the space, the volatility will gradually decrease because it'll become a more stable asset class or set of asset classes. But
and I really want to talk about staking, but can we do that in our next video that we do together?
Well, yeah, we're done because we think we're out of time here. But like I was going to say, to leave it hanging, we can do an episode next time, as you alluded to, about staking, because you kept wanting to talk about.
Yeah, I would love to. I have to go now because I have to run, but I'll be back, Aaron. We'll talk about staking.
Okay, great talk. So,
all right, you too.
Ward off those crazy relatives at Thanksgiving dinner. You got this.
Okay, you got this.
Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.